Welcome everyone. This is Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. This is the union read for the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine. It's a beautiful read. There's some amazing messages here today, so I would stay tuned. A little bit of clearing. Take a deep breath, everybody. Take a deep breath. I hope you guys are having a good day. It's really beautiful out here today. Today is May 4th, 2020. The 4 is the Emperor, and the day adds up to 13-4, which is another 4. That's the Death card, transformation, transition, endings. And so a lot of building here. I don't want to forget to let you know that the North Node, I think, changes tomorrow, 5-5, into Gemini. And then that would put the South Node, I believe, into Sagittarius. That sounds correct. So that comes up in the read as well. And so I'm going to get right into it. This union read was done at 11:18, which is Justice and the Moon. And the Moon came up in the read as well. Oh, I forgot to put the... let me get this card for you. This card and this card. So this is the underlying energy of the 4 of Chalices, or the 4 of Cups in the traditional deck. This is the SIRIAN Starseed deck, and then this is the summary card, which is Transition, or the Death card. So this was very significant. I'm going to put these up here so you can see them. So 11:18, we have the Moon here at the top here. For those of you not familiar with my setup here for this union read, we have the feminine on the left, the masculine on the right, the bridge between them in the middle. This is 3D horizontally, 4D and 5D at the top. We have the feminine 3 cards coming into the read, the masculine 3 cards going out of the read, and then the underlying energy, which I showed you, is the 4 of Cups, and the outgoing energy, which is the Death or Transition card. So I usually would put them as the underlying energy would be the top card here, and then the outgoing card would be up here. So 11:18 with Justice and the Moon. The Justice card didn't come up in the read, but the Moon did on the feminine side in 5D here. So as I was shuffling, because the word danglers came up this morning and I was talking to somebody about it, when I shuffle and cut this deck particularly, sometimes one card will dangle a little bit, like it'll stick on one side but not the other. So this word dangle was coming up in a lot of different ways in this read, and that was the first way it came up because the card did dangle today, which I actually like it when the card dangles like that. It's like a cue for me. So the underlying energy is that 4 of Cups, and then the center card is the 2 of Cups here. Grounding and integrating and mastering, the allowing of love in, the triangle of that love, because you notice too that her looking up at the star and the cup across from her makes a triangle. The triangle of that love, the Divine Feminine and the stars, the North Node focus for Cancer today, and that motherly energy, since the changes happen tomorrow, of focus on one-to-one love today, especially from a mother energy. The underlying Divine Feminine coming into this read is the King of Wands Shaman over here. Let's see, I'll just move that for a second over there. King of Wands Shaman, the Ace of Swords, which this dolphin is just below the water in the ocean. And then we have the Ace of Cups with this outpouring of love. So the shaman with sleight of hand, because his hands are hidden for a reason. The truth lies just beneath the surface for exfoliating, to come up for air and breathe in a burst, like dolphins' momentum coming up for a big jump. The Ace of Cups, big love, overflows with love, pouring out everywhere and all over. It's in that moment the dolphin feels like pure love. At that moment of the epiphany, the eureka moment, that wow moment, or that 11:11 moment, the moment of creation that comes out of nowhere, like your dog waiting for the treat they know is in your hand, but you're hiding it until they do a trick, or what you ask them to do, holding their breath with bated breath. And bated breath comes from the first from Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, and that was coming up from Grammarist.com. So that has to do with the suspense, the trepidation, the fear, the possibility that it will be taken away from you, right? Think of a dog waiting for their treat. The dangle is in the temptation, a tease, teasing, a dangle, a carrot. The takeaway, the treat, the lesson, what you're willing to do, say, or be to get that treat. Not so much about the one dangling as it is about you and how high will you jump. How high will you jump to be their lackey, their pet, for that high, for that treat? Like people who choke themselves into orgasm. Addiction is allowing someone or something outside yourself to control you for a momentary treat. So, if you're going to be addicted to something or someone, make sure it is healthy at least, that it makes all of you feel good, mind, body, and spirit, not just a temporary fix. Or a play to try to get home, a trick to shift dimension to get out of a contract or a deal. And then let's make a deal was coming up, which then takes away your free will. So when I was saying to make it healthy at least, that was at 11:50, which is 11, that was my son coming in from his jog. 11:50 is justice, and the 10 of cups, which is emotional fulfillment and family fulfillment. So, which is health, family happiness, that's healthy. So make sure you do something that makes you feel good, not just one part, but your body, mind, and spirit, not just a temporary fix or a play to try to go home, right, or leave your body, which a lot of addicts end up doing. A trick, it's just a trick. You're tricking yourself to shift dimension to get out of a contract here, right? The contract that you had to come here and live this life, the deal. Let's make a deal. Or take away your free will. So when you sign a contract in the 3D, you're allowing someone else to control what you do. The 3D here is the 10 of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords, and the 9 of Orbs. The Divine Feminine with the dream family, business, legacy, and or community, and crystal work perhaps. The Divine Masculine perhaps suffering in silence, stressed out, purging, hiding, scared to look. They may see that their dreams have been dashed if they look, so they're scared to look. The bridging in the 3D is by the Knight of Swords, the 5D message sent. And then I was getting saddlebags, feeling into something, but literally saddlebags of the mailman. And I was also getting the guided, you see he's sitting under a tree. So I actually went out front. After 3D, I went outside to do 4D and 5D. I went out and sat under the tree in my front yard, in which right next to the tree was this sparkly rock, a little bit of gift for me, right? So I have a lot of sparkles in there. So you never know what little gifts that your downloads or your guidance might bring you. So the 3D is bridged by the Knight of Swords. The feminine sending that, this energy toward the masculine. So it's the feminine energy sending a 5D towards the masculine over here who's suffering when she's doing well. And then at 11:56, which is justice and the 2 of Swords, being in your knowing and keeping it to yourself, that's when I actually went outside to sit under the tree. So the 4D is the 10 of Cups, the 2 of Cups, and the Queen of Cups. So there's a lot of love there. The Divine Feminine, emotional and family fulfillment. The Pyramid of 10. The Divine Masculine, Queen of Cups, nurturing, loving, intuitive, happy with self. The bridge in the 4D is by the 2 of Cups, that one-on-one time that I talked about with the North Node, flanked by family on one side and alone time on the other. So make sure you also give 4D time to your one-on-one connection. So much love and emotion here in the 4D today. In the 5D, we have Luna, which is the moon, the 9 of Cups, and the Lovers on the masculine side. The Divine Feminine heightened emotions are calmed in the 5D as you meditate, as the full moon comes up soon, and also during the night approaches. The Divine Masculine Lovers in the 5D wanting to share his affections here. And that's when I found my rock sparkling at the tree. At 12:07. At 12:08 to 11, the crows started barking outside, and the bridge here in the 5D is by the 9 of Cups, the self-satisfaction, the getting your wish, being happy with self, with the full moon and lover flanking you in the 5D. The Divine Feminine is the 10 of Pentacles, the 10 of Cups, and the Moon. So there's a lot of beautiful family energy on the Divine Feminine side. The 3D extended family, the 4D immediate family. And you notice how they elevate as you get closer to you. The extended family is still in 3D, but the 4D family is your immediate family. So the kids or people who are always around you actually have increased their vibration. The 5D rising tides of the Cancer North Node moving tomorrow, sharing with everyone like family to reach the pinnacle of the calm at the full moon, transmuting those dark energies. But this pinnacle of the moon was also referencing the pinnacle of the North Node in Cancer, which leaves, you notice it's in Cancer in 5D, the North Node, and that it switches to Gemini tomorrow, which is the lovers, the twins, focusing on a new energy as opposed to the mother, the lovers. Okay, so that's the energy here. The 4D immediate family and then the 5D rising tides of the Cancer North Node sharing with everyone, the feminine's sharing with everyone like everyone is their family to reach the pinnacle of that North Node, which is the mother energy of calm at the full moon, transmuting dark energies on the way there. The Divine Masculine in the 3D is stressed, purging, hiding, suffering in silence. The 4D is the Queen of Cups, nurturing, loving, intuitive woman. And then in the 5D, he's your 5D lover, or in other words, the Divine Feminine's higher self. The bridge between is by sending those 5D messages in the 3D to your other today in the 4D, come together physically, and 5D self-satisfaction, getting your wish, as the North Node switches tomorrow from Cancer to Gemini, taking the spotlight off of the Divine Feminine, the mothers, and focusing now on the twins, the lovers, the Divine Masculine's strength, right? That's his sweet spot, right? He knows how to be the lover. The outgoing Divine Masculine here of the Star and the 5 of Wands and the 8 of Wands. The what was coming up here is the massaging out the back of your thighs, especially above the knees, to feel for symmetry and tread lightly. Rock the boat gently, like Rockabye Baby. Middle East is still in the spotlight, distracting from China. The hat trick, hiding their hands with the Middle East amidst everything, creating drama for the Divine Masculines to clean up, in order to distract him from focusing on what he should be, which is love. Ignore that which doesn't serve. In other words, don't give it your power. Focus on loving yourself first and allowing that to vibrate out around you. If you are trying too hard to discern something, let it go and come back to it later naturally. If confused about a person, place, or thing, put it down until you're guided back to it. Allow, allow, allow. If resistance comes in, go around. Walk the other way, or see your way through it without getting stuck in it, right? Be of it without being in it. So feel into those uncomfortable feelings to see what comes up, and then walk like an Egyptian. So this was very interesting because walking like an Egyptian kind of contorts your body different ways, but it was really expressing to make sure you stretch in ways that you don't normally stretch to really get and release those nooks and crannies in your body that normally don't get stretched. So walk like you would think an Egyptian would, with your arms in that funny position. But then when I looked at this card closely, like the other day, the angle of this arm, the arm here and up like this and then across and then up, is exactly the same position that I showed you the other day from the other cards of me, right? So if you sing the note, you start in the middle, and you go up, me. When you draw a line, it's up, down, down, and up again. That's literally this same thing, which I showed you, if you turn it like a quarter way. So it comes up to be me, where you hold the me, it's a flat line, me. Okay, so it's the same shape that came up the other day, which is really cool. So that phrase, which is, I'm not sure the origin of that phrase, that me, whether it's Arabian or Indian, but it was coming up again because, number one, stretch out your body. Make sure you get all those nooks and crannies all stretched out to release any trapped energies in your body. But the me was coming up about the third eye because your voice cracks at the third eye, and they were showing me just like massaging the back of your legs above your knees by finding where your voice cracks, like going me, right? It cracks right there. Me, by saying me and doing that exercise, starting at the note below your crack. And it's like stretching your muscles of your third eye in order to clear your third eye more. So that was the message I was getting. So you can try that out. And also, when I was doing that over and over and over again to stretch that note, all of a sudden I started coughing it out, like when your voice goes because you can't speak. So it's connecting the third eye to the sinuses and the throat in order for you to be able to open up your truth more as well. So it was a very cool connection there. So try that out. Also, when I was drawing, again, the notes not out in the line like me, but in the circle, me, right? It's the circle. If you turn that, it becomes the letter G for God. And when I did it the first time, it's like an upside down G, and then I drew it right side up, and then next to each other, they're literally like an hourglass between them, like the toroidal field. So it was like showing me the diamond shapes that become the round shapes of the toroidal field around them, and the hourglass between, the music of the spheres and the third eye relationship. So that was very cool. So it was showing me to clear that passageway of the third eye and the sinuses in order to open up your third eye and your throat chakra more. That was very cool. And that was at 12:44, and then finished that by 12:49. So I was getting that me, and then they were guiding me to separate the word me out into the two hats, like the triangles, and then the eye and the three parallel lines. And then, but again, reemphasizing, massage it out like you'd massage out the back of your thighs, but doing it to your third eye with the me. Find your crack and then do that and cough it out. And then I was getting going on a treasure hunt, a hedge fund or something. Going on a treasure hunt, X marks the spot. So I wrote down X111 and the question mark with a pinch and a squeeze. So there's some kind of reference to pulling those energies together. And it literally, when you push them together, it becomes X11 with an exclamation point, which is 12, which is wisdom, which is the hangman, which is Jesus, and the template of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. I was also getting flagship when I was doing that. And the X, of course, always has to do with, right, that death, danger. And then I was getting pick up sticks and the teepee and the match to light the fire. So all of those energies were coming up with those symbols from going on a treasure hunt. So at 1 o'clock, which is the magician with a lot of source energy backing it up, the magician embodiment, stretch forward in order to look back. Walk on back. So you might want to have someone walk on your back if they're light. If you don't have back injuries, use your discretion about that. I'm not your doctor telling you it's okay. But if you feel up to it, if you have a healthy back and you want to have your child walk on your back or something like that, that was some of the guidance I was getting here. Or perhaps lay on a big ball to arch your back. Walking into conflict when not watching where you're going is a fiery triangle in the hot desert sun. Who sets sail for a 3-hour tour? An energetic exchange, like arrows flung everywhere, like that color wheel splatter that we were talking about the other day. The Middle Easterner walks in blindly, not knowing what they were walking into, and this can reference as a person, but also as the world. So the Middle East, one of the Middle Eastern countries may be walking in blindly, not knowing what they were walking into, as the three flames present, but two more are hiding, just like the hand trick, covering the hands so that the dog doesn't know where the treat is. 3 flames present, but 2 more are hiding, ready to pounce, causing the wheel to turn forward with splatter, of course, but on course. It just may take a few hours to get through the crossfire. The master of hesitation, the 5, the change, the expansion, the freedom of fidelity, in the heat of expansion or the heart of the moment. There is some splatter, or in other words, waste, debris, where innocents are affected. 3, which are actually 5, but 2 are hiding, become 8 in a whirlwind, creating a vortex to seek refuge if you are present enough to realize it when it's happening. All right, so I'm going to say that again. As the 8 becomes the whirlwind, the dance, and the 8 is the dance, as the 3, which is actually 5 with 2 hiding, become the 8 of the dance in the whirlwind created, a vortex is created. And so if you are present enough to realize that while you're in this craziness, that there is a vortex of refuge inside that moment, if you're present enough to realize it when it's happening, the slings and arrows of Shakespeare's Hamlet, of being in the spotlight. And the actual line from Hamlet is of being in the spotlight of outrageous fortune while Hamlet is contemplating death. To be or not to be, that is the question. And so from enmwikipedia.org, I looked up the speech there. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end. The heartache and the thousand natural shocks, that flesh is heir to, 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub, for in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity so long life, for who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office and the spurns, the patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin, who would fardels bear, to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have, than fly to others that we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pitch and thought. With this regard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Soft you now, the fair Ophelia? Nymph, in thy orisons be all my sins remembered. So that was coming up. Sorry if I didn't do it justice, but... So this is Hamlet contemplating death, to be or not to be. And then as I look up, what is the summary card, which I didn't even realize at the moment? It's the death card. So I looked up to be, and I literally read it right before I went to the death or transition card, which you see up here, right there. So as I finish this, where we get to death, transition through the portal to the next dimension, or the pause, the 4 of Cups to the 2 of Cups, center to the death at the end, to question, to love, to die and death, the shaman to the Egyptian, the American or native Indian to the East Indian, the Lemurians to the Atlantis, the holding the truth with bated breath rather than fight, splatter to those rendered harmless, to create the momentum that builds to the greatest of loves, rather than create that whirlwind and vortex and hurt others in the process with the splatter, or in other words, the overkill, to find one's self rather than release and waste the energy stores fighting your way through. Allow the love versus allowing the death, which is just a different dimension of love, leaving this one. And that was at 121, which is the magician in the world, completion. So then I did the grid of numbers from this read, and the main number that it came out to be was 59 today, which has to do with the 5 of Swords, which is the internal war. In this deck, it's the frog becoming the prince, the struggle of growth, the growth spurt, and how painful that can be sometimes. In the horizontal lines, the numbers were coming up 13, 12, and 34 of death, the hangman, and the 8 of wands, which is that splatter that we've been talking about. And this is the splatter of Jesus, Or you can do it that way and die, or the vertical lines were adding up to 411, urgent information. Then the 20, 11, and 9 of judgment, the justice, and the 9 of the hermit and the collective consciousness. And then the 58, which is the 4 of swords, the meditation in 5D together to bring all this energy to a peaceful place. The emergent information of judgment and justice of the hermit and collective consciousness to meditate in 5D in connection, in peace. The new love, the magician of the judgment and justice and the hermit, or all of those together, is the 40 of the Page of Cups, of the fish and the Jesus energy of just love. And the hermit and the hierophant, right, which is the one that goes within, and then the hierophant is God, the connection, your connection to your higher self, and the dance between you. So you can either take the path of the splatter of Jesus, or you can take the path of the new love, the magician, and the hermit of yourself going within to connect with your higher self of the hierophant and do the dance. So it was a really beautiful message coming out there. I hope you can appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to pull a card from the energy deck for you guys. And I want you to take note too that we have the 2 of Cups and the Lovers and the Ace of Cups in this read, as well as the Ace of Swords. And the 10 of Pentacles, the 10 of Cups. I mean, it goes on. We have the moon of the North Node changing and the full moon coming and the Lovers. And the 9 of Cups, which is complete emotional fulfillment. And the masculine in the slings and arrows of love. Walking like a Lemurian or walking like an Egyptian, going through the fight or going through the internal war to expand yourself from within without splatter around you. So it's like, you know, God trying to show you why you had to go through the avenue that you did, the journey of the rainbow, the 4D bridge, why you had to go across the bridge the way you had to go, and the adjacent possibilities. What were the other choices? There was no other way. You either splattered and went through the fight with innocent people getting hurt, or you went within and felt the whole thing and expanded from within to your higher self to create the rainbow instead around the world, which is the 2 and the 24, the High Priestess and the Queen of Wands. Being creative, ending karma, the end of the Greek alphabet with the 24. Okay, and that has to do with creation. On the journey, what are the adjacent possibilities? What other choices are there on this same path? Because there are always more than one, right? There's your signpost. You have 4 different choices there. It's so funny. The signpost even is this. Me, right? Am I holding it the right way? So these two going together is holding the note, because you say me, me, me. Okay, so even there it's coming up, the me. The signposts along the way, opening up your third eye to those adjacent possibilities. You also have the 43 coming up, which is my son's soul number, which we were just talking about that earlier, the man holding the coin, and this is like the King of Pentacles. But also the 43 of the 3 of Cups, of joy and coming together. The underlying energy here is the thinking man, playing with their crystals, right? 46 is the kids, the 6 of Cups, that innocence of the masculine and feminine within. But you see there is a big focus here on the masculine, right? And how he earns his income, how he manifests. And then here is that feminine energy of crossing the bridge, the rainbow bridge, and seeing the adjacent possibilities. Okay, while he's discovering his manifestation abilities, like she's pulling him across the bridge, right? Like this. Come along. So she's keeping herself busy while he's busy doing something else. with her here. And while in the meantime, it's like, you know, that the plot that's being described on the show or the movie, right? So while the feminine is crossing the rainbow bridge, right, all of her suitcases packed and ready to go. My bags are packed, I'm ready to go. Meanwhile, right, the masculine is over here manifesting and mastering his manifestation abilities in joy, what makes him truly happy. The feminine is expanding her psychic abilities, and he's expanding his manifestation abilities, the adjacent possibilities between them. And then here's that third energy, which I always say is the third energy, the 24, the creation. Okay, which is why there's always a third energy involved with expanding the twins. Okay. All right, so that was pretty cool. I think I'm going to leave it at that because that was pretty perfect. See all those? I want to give you a better view of those cards since it was such a pretty read. All right, so there's all your cards. There's the feminine cards coming in, and the underlying and the closing cards, and the masculine cards going out. Okay. Make sure you get your water, your rest. Be good to yourselves, guys. Get your joy. If it's sunny out, go outside and connect with nature. It's so beautiful today. Okay, love you guys. Rise and be loved. Bye.